How did your music look during the first few years of your being in college before your brother shows up?
Our music during that time was terrible because when we were in the park, we were mostly doing covers of other people. But when I was in college, we experimented with a lot of different genres. So that's music that is never going to see the light of day. We have all of that in our, on our hard drives. But we would spend, 6 months working on song that was music that sounded very musical theater. And then we would spend 6 months working on music that was very hip hop focused. And Ryan, my middle brother, rapped on a couple of songs. And those will definitely never come out. But then we did some songs that were more like Simon and Garfunkel folk. And it took all of that time over those 4 years to say, okay, we want to bring a little bit of this genre in, a little bit of this genre, a little bit of this genre, until we actually found our sound. And that's one of the things when other newer artists are asking us for advice, we say, take the time to explore what you want your sound to be. Because if you write a song and then put out your first song, if that's not what you want to be, you're throwing something out there that you've now established yourself. This is the sound that you have. So take some time to really figure out who you want to be as an artist. And that's what we did when I was in college. So I would go home and we would play and we would write and we would record things. And like I said, most of it is terrible. And most of it's going to be terrible in the beginning because you're just learning how to do it. But we took that time to figure out, okay, this is what AJR sound is. This is what we want to communicate with our lyrics. And then when we started putting stuff out for real, then we had a concrete idea of, okay, this is the path we want to go down.
So how many hours a week would you go play or make music with your brothers when you were in college?
Maybe 10 to 12 hours a week. I would go home and I would always, combine it with bringing laundry home for my parents to do my laundry when I would, go do or make me dinner or something like that.
So then my next question is about your brother applying to college because he ends up getting into Columbia. It sounds like it was during your final semester at Columbia and his first semester at Columbia, then your younger brothers in high school, that you make your first hit. And it probably takes a bit of time for it to become a hit. But what is the process? You write this song, and then how does it get out into the world, and what happens next?
So we wrote this song in the fall of 2012, and this was the either the end of our career or the beginning of our career. And I'll explain what I mean by that. We decided that we had written so many songs and we had, tested them out on YouTube and SoundCloud and places like that. And we decided, okay, if this one doesn't do anything, then we're just going to pause. We're really just going to focus on school and get a real job.
What? Sorry, wow, this seems very, very high stakes here, Adam.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, there's this idea, I think is Malcolm Gladwell, about how if you spend like 10,000 hours doing something, you become like really, really expert. It sounds like at this point, you've probably put in about that many hours if you add up like all the times performing in Washington Square Park and then all the time. Is that fair to say? I mean, your younger brothers, it seems like they started out very young as well. You guys must be like incredibly veteran musicians and performers at this point. Do you believe in the 10,000 hour principle or something like it?
I do believe in the 10,000 hour principle, but I believe in it for every bit of it. Meaning, if you're a writer and you're writing your own music, you need to put 10,000 hours into writing. If you're just going to play, you need to put 10,000 hours into playing. If you want to, figure out the branding and marketing and the messaging of something, you need to put 10,000 hours into that. So the music industry, and I'm sure we can talk about this more, but is so much more than just making a song and putting it out. There's so many other pieces that go into it. But yeah, I'm a big believer in paying your dues and putting in your time.
Okay, so back to 2012, you have this hit song and you're like, okay, guys, if this thing doesn't work out, maybe we should go become management consultants or something. I made that up. But so what is the process through which this music gets out into the world?
So it all happened during a psychology class at Columbia. So I'm sitting, paying attention, taking notes, and Ryan is sitting next to me on Twitter. And he's taking the link on YouTube of this song, I'm Ready, that we put out. And he's tweeting it out to, 100 different celebrities, from Miley Cyrus to Justin Bieber. And the very last one he did, was Sia. And Sia was the only one who responded and said, I love this. She retweeted it. And she said, come downtown and meet me at my hotel. I want to meet you guys. And we thought she was catfishing us. We thought it was like a fake account. This was before the point when she was wearing the bag over her head and before she had the wig. So we went down to her hotel and she walks literally out of her hotel singing our song and said, "Okay, let's go to brunch." And we went to brunch with Sia. And that was kind of the very beginning of it. She introduced us to people in the industry. We met with a few labels.
I love Sia so much now. This is the greatest story of all time.
She's amazing because not only is she an amazing artist, she's an amazing writer. And she can get in the mindset of so many different artists and write songs based on their perspective. And that's one of the things that we really appreciated about her.
This seems like a movie plot. This seems like, the end of a Disney movie, where Sia comes out and connects with people. Okay, so let's go through some of the next things so then Sia introduces you to people at her label?
Yeah, people at her label, people at other labels, and we have a whole bunch of label meetings. And every single one of them said, this song is good, but we're going to put you in the room with really big writers like Max Martin and Dr. Luke, and they're going to write all your songs for you, and then you'll put them out. And we said, no. We're definitely uninterested in that. And then we met our manager, who she also introduced us to, and his name is Steve Greenberg. And he said, "I really like what you have because it doesn't sound like anything else on the radio." And he said it was something that was unique because we made the entire record in that dorm room. A mix between our parents' living room and that dorm room. It didn't sound professional. It didn't sound like it was made in a recording studio. And he said that's what made it stand out. And so we ended up staying independent and not doing a record deal. We did a deal with him and started our own company called AJR Productions.
That sounds like such a risk, man. Like, I feel like any artist, and you show up and they're like, okay, we're going to do this thing, and here's some producers and here's some writers, and we can work with this. And then you were like, no. And that seems incredibly ballsy.
It was so risky, and basically it was choosing between, do we believe in ourselves and the vision that we have for this? Or do we want to take the big check right now, but have to completely change everything about us?
There's something really important about that story, Adam, because I feel like the vast majority of humans in that situation would have been like, well, these are professionals. They know better than us. Like, they know how to make hits. They've got a bunch of platinum records on the wall. We don't have shit like that. Like, let's get in there and see what we can do together. Like that. What percentage of artists do you think would have had that attitude? I feel like 85% would have gone that direction, I think. Were you getting advice from other people during this time? I guess your parents were like, you do you, or were there musicians?
We didn't know anybody. The only person we knew that was actually in the music industry was Sia at that point. And we'd known her for a week. So we didn't have anybody giving us advice. And we just said, look, we've taken skills that we've gotten from learning music, but then we've also taken skills from, I studied business at Columbia. So I was like, okay, let me think through this from a business perspective. Do we want to give up all our rights to everything for this check that could end up being really small in the long run? Or do we want to try, because Sia really liked the song, let's see if other people really like the song, like radio stations. And it ended up paying off.
Oh, right. Okay, so you turned down this label deal, but you hook up with Sia's manager?
Sia introduced us to our current manager. It wasn't her manager, but it was this guy she knew and her manager knew because he did Hanson and he did the Jonas Brothers.
There is something about the Three Brothers band. I mean, I can't believe he did Hanson and the Jonas Brothers. Holy shit. He specializes in freaking brother bands. I wonder if he just does brother bands. He'd be like, if there aren't three brothers, I'm not interested.
No, the songs that you would know that he did Who Let the Dogs Out, and it's actually his voice on the record that's the dog barking. He did Stacy's Mom. Stacy's Mom, a huge, hit. He's done a lot of those weird songs.
So he becomes your manager, and then you're like, we're going to go off on our own. So then what?
Then our manager sits down and plays our song called I'm Ready for a guy named Kid Kelly. And Kid Kelly was the, head of Sirius XM Hits 1, which is the biggest pop station in the country on satellite radio. And he fell in love with it. And so immediately he started playing the song. even before the song officially came out on iTunes, which was crazy. Then when the song came out on iTunes, and this was pre-streaming being the majority of what happens in the music industry, he started playing the song on Sirius XM, and it just exploded.